I have to say, I was genuinely shocked when I first saw the source material for this deep dive. We are stepping into, I think, one of the weirdest corners of the botanical world today. We're looking at a plant that honestly looks like a craft project gone spectacularly wrong.
It really does. It's a head scratcher.
I'm talking about the Hindu rope plant. It's officially known as Hoya carnosa compacta.
And if you've never seen one, it's hard to describe.
It is. Picture a plant, but its leaves have curled up so tightly they look like these thick braided ropes, or maybe, I don't know, a bundle of little tightly rolled dreadlocks.
It's definitely a conversation starter.
Exactly. So our mission today is to dive into these notes from a gardener, Ang, who documented this intense fascination and then a lot of hesitation about getting one.
And their notes are a perfect case study in how our idea of beauty can just completely clash with what nature actually does.
Yeah, is this thing a beautiful enigma, or is it just too weird for its own good?
Well, the immediate intrigue makes complete sense. I mean, the plant's appearance is so counterintuitive. Ang's first notes even ask if this is a species that evolution somehow forgot or perfected.
It really does challenge what you think a healthy leafy plant is supposed to look like.
That tight, almost unnaturally coiled look.
Right. It just blows up the rule book for a greenhouse plant.
And we should probably clarify for you, the listener, what that look actually is, because Ang's thought about evolution is, it's very poetic.
Very dramatic, yeah.
But they follow up pretty quickly with the science. This coiled look isn't from a long, slow evolutionary path. It's actually the result of a very specific genetic mutation.
So it's not that natural selection made it look like a rope over a million years.
No, not at all. It's much more sudden. Think of it like a naturally occurring designer breed. This is a specific cultivar, the Compacta, and it's a genetic detour that happens spontaneously.
And growers just ran with it because it was so strange.
Exactly. They propagated it because of that unique aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's a quirk, not a survival strategy, which, makes our reaction to it even more interesting.
Why? Because we're basically reacting to a genetic mistake as if it were some piece of high concept art.
Precisely. And that brings us right to our first section, the polarizing power of aesthetics. We're looking at a plant that doesn't just get lukewarm interest. It generates real, intense emotion.
And Ang's notes confirm that. It's a polarized response. Plant lovers either intensely hate this thing or they profoundly love it.
There's almost no in-between.
Which is fascinating, right? For most houseplants, we operate on a spectrum. You might like a pothos, you might love a monstera, but this one, it forces you to pick a side. Why do you think that is?
I think it's the texture and just the way it resists any easy category. It doesn't have that soft, smooth, conventional greenery that we connect with health and, lushness. The foliage is hard, it's thick, and it looks almost synthetic, like a bunch of plastic ropes or something.
It violates our sense of what's natural.
It does. And when a plant does that, you have to decide if that violation is repulsive or if it's compelling.
I can really relate to Ang's reaction here. They didn't fall into either extreme at first. They said they felt deeply intrigued, despite the weird look.
That skeptical but curious middle ground.
Yeah, that's the classic collector struggle, isn't it? Being pulled toward something rare, even if it kind of goes against your taste.
Well, it's a sort of litmus test for your aesthetic tolerance in gardening.
Yeah.
This plant isn't trying to appeal to the mainstream.
Right.
Ang points out that it's ideally suited for people who already appreciate the unconventional aesthetics of cacti and succulent.
That makes perfect sense. If you already like the architectural strangeness of, say, a specky euphorbia or the weird asymmetry of a pebble plant,
Lithopsy.
then you've already stepped away from the traditional tropical look. The Hoya carnosa compacta is just a different kind of botanical sculpture.
It absolutely targets that niche. The tight, curled foliage is the key identifier, and it defines the plant's market position as a unique and exotic specimen.
It's competing against other rarities, not your average fern. It's a status symbol for the connoisseur who wants something their neighbors definitely don't have.
But, and this is a critical point Ang's notes highlight, all that uniqueness and aesthetic rebellion has to come with one very important qualifier.
It has to be at an affordable price.
Yes. That phrase, affordable price, reveals so much about this plant's fan base. If the unique look were enough on its own, people would pay thousands for rare cuttings, like they do for some variegated monsteras.
Sure.
But the fact that its popularity depends on it being affordable tells us that the aesthetic appeal has a pretty clear ceiling.
So the price is kind of a signal about the commitment level required.
Exactly. If it were prohibitively expensive, only the most dedicated collectors would even bother. The affordability opens it up to enthusiasts who want the bragging rights of owning something bizarre.
But without the massive financial risk if they accidentally kill this weird rope thing.
Right. It's unique, but it's also disposable enough if the care turns out to be too demanding.
That's a sharp point. The plant is weird enough to be compelling, but cheap enough to be approachable. Aesthetics sets the hook, but the price really defines the purchase. But wait, before we just define this plant by its weird, tough exterior and its price, we have to talk about the internal conflict Aang found.
This is where the story gets really compelling.
Yeah, they realized that bizarre foliage was hiding something. Well, beautiful.
This is what elevates the Hoya from just a botanical oddity to, an object of real intrigue.
Aang notes this delightful contradiction at the heart of the plant. It has the potential to produce beautiful, highly fragrant flowers.
The contrast is just staggering. You look at that dense, armored, almost plastic-looking rope foliage.
And you expect what? A tiny, green, indistinct flower, maybe?
Exactly. But instead, you get these delicate, star-shaped clusters of blooms, often pink or white with a deep red center. They look like they're made of porcelain and wax. They are just stunningly attractive.
And the fragrance. The sources all emphasize that the scent is rich. It's described as vanilla or honey or a sweet spice.
It's a total sensory betrayal in the best possible way. The rough exterior promises one thing, but the payoff is pure, delicate, aromatic pleasure.
It completely flips the script. It's like the botanical version of the ugly duckling, but with a twist. The ugly duckling foliage is the plant most of the year.
And the beautiful, fragrant swan bloom is the rare, coveted event. That duality is what holds an enthusiast's attention. The promise of that payoff makes the weird foliage bearable.
But the challenge is in the journey, right? Not the destination. Which brings us to section 2, the contradiction and the costs. The flowers are beautiful, no doubt, but they come with trade-offs.
Big trade-offs that ultimately dampen Aang's enthusiasm. The primary deterrent, the major hurdle, is the plant's notoriously slow growth rate.
And we live in a world of instant gratification. We buy furniture we can assemble in minutes. We stream a whole series in a weekend.
And we expect our plants to noticeably grow within a few weeks.
Yeah. And this Hoya just refuses to play that game. The notes suggest it requires a level of patience that a lot of modern gardeners just don't have.
With a normal tropical plant, you want to see new leaves pushing out every month. With the Hindu rope plant, you might see a few inches of growth over an entire year, sometimes less.
It's not just a physical thing, it's an emotional cost. The gardener has to wait years to see the plant mature, and then potentially years more before it's even ready to produce those amazing flowers.
And that long delay makes the initial intrigue, that fascination with the strange look, start to wear off.
Right. If you have to stare at that bizarre rope-like foliage for 5 years just for the chance of one bloom, the question becomes, is the weirdness enough to sustain you?
And for Aang, it wasn't. They note that after learning about the slow growth rate, their inclination to buy one lessens significantly. The return on investment, just measured in time and space, was too low.
Yeah.
Now, it's important to distinguish here. A dedicated Hoya collector who loves the rope structure itself is probably fine with the slow growth. It means less work.
Less pruning, sure.
But for the curious enthusiast who was drawn in by the promise of the bloom, the slow pace just makes the payoff feel too distant. It's a plant that demands dedication, not just curiosity.
It really is. I mean, this deep dive just shows how a single genetic mutation can expose these fundamental truths about consumer psychology, about market economics, and our need for either immediate beauty or immediate growth.
So, left with a quick recap of the key takeaways we extracted for you, the listener, from Aang's notes on this very peculiar plant.
Okay, first, the whole aesthetic is driven by a unique genetic mutation. That coiled, rope-like foliage is a genetic quirk, not a long march of evolution.
Second, its look is so unconventional that it creates these intensely polarized opinions. You have to decide if this particular violation of aesthetic norms is compelling or if it's repulsive. It really makes you question your own taste.
Third, it offers that dramatic, delightful contrast. You have the rugged, bizarre exterior, but the reward is a beautiful, highly fragrant, porcelain-like flower. It's an incredible study in duality.
And fourth, its major drawback, and the reason a lot of curious buyers walk away, is its notoriously slow growth rate. This slow pace really limits its appeal to only the most dedicated collectors.
Collectors who want that uniqueness, but as we said, need it at an affordable price to mitigate the risk of that huge time investment.
Exactly.
Ultimately, the source concludes that just becoming aware of such a peculiar species is worthwhile, even if you never plan to own one. It challenges your sense of what's possible in the natural world.
It certainly does. It's a plant that sits right at the intersection of aesthetic perfection and commercial viability.
And that leads us to a final thought for you to mull over. We've established that the Hoya carnosa compacta is approachable because it's affordable.
Right.
But what if the slow growth rate, the
Yeah.
very thing that scares off so many buyers, also meant that this plant was extremely rare and prohibitively expensive, say hundreds or even thousands of dollars for a small cutting?
If that were the case, would the polarization still hold up?
That's the question. Would that unique, enigmatic look still outweigh a massive financial and time investment? Would it transition from an affordable novelty into a true status symbol among elite collectors? That tension, between its slow commitment and its striking uniqueness, it defines its entire market position. And understanding that is, I think, a key insight from this deep dive.